Welcome to the podcast, Hopeful Horizons, the bridge where hope and healing meet. Our mission is to create the environment and resources to get people across the bridge from the post-COVID experience to a future filled with hope. Please welcome our host, Holly Porter, founder of Adventure Bucket Wish Foundation.
Welcome back. If you're joining us again for another day at the podcast for Hopeful Horizons. And if you're new here, we're excited that you found us, and we hope that you will find this inspiring and hopeful. I always get great guests. And so again, today is no exception. I've got a new friend for me. We met at a conference online not too long ago and had a conversation, and I just felt like she could offer some great inspiration and hope to our listeners. She doesn't have necessarily long COVID, but she's got a story. So we're going to turn it over to TK Mason and let her just share with us a little bit about where she was, where she is, and where she's going. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
My name is TK Mason, and they call me TK the tardigrade, or also doctors around the world label me as a clinically fascinating outlier. It started with mold exposure, which led to a lot of issues, and then I had a head trauma, which I ended up having cervical dystonia, and my head was stuck over here. And then after the head trauma, about 6 months later, after some MRIs and a visit to the neurologist, I walked in and my BP was 193 over 135, and they hospitalized me. And that night, found a 7-centimeter blood clot in my left leg, and they didn't know how I was even still alive with a clot that big, nor had they ever seen one. And through the imaging, I had ended up having, I think at that point then, I'd gone blind the night before, so I'd had already, suffered 3 strokes. So over that summer, it was just an explosion of fireworks going off in my head, and I survived 7 cryptogenic strokes. I was in ICU for over 3 weeks. They could never figure out when it was. All the hospitals, best doctors here, they shipped me to the Mayo Clinic. They couldn't figure it out. And so the next year, I did a lot of therapy to try to get back on my feet. And then a horrific event happened that kind of like traumatized me, and it triggered my autonomic system. And what now we can look at was called central centralization syndrome. Our nervous system can only take so many hits, and then all of a sudden it just breaks, and you don't know what's going on. And that's what happened with my nervous system. And I developed an unknown form of dysautonomia that they finally, now the Mayo Clinic thinks that it's an unknown autoimmune disease, but they've been testing me since 2018, and they can't figure out what's wrong. They can't put me in any box. So for over 3 years, I suffered from severe 24/7 dizziness and nausea. It came with multiple GI disorders. Things were shutting down, like how to, my body stop making the enzyme to digest fructans. So pretty much almost all vegetables were off my list. I could hardly eat anything. I lost 70 pounds. I dropped to 125 pounds, and they wanted to give me a feeding tube. And that year I walked with 3 girlfriends who all died, and one had a feeding tube. And I thought, no, that's 1 foot in the grave for me. And so I fought. And they said, next visit, if you're 124, you're getting a feeding tube. And I said, that's fair enough. And I've been fighting ever since. And, I maintained that weight for over a year. They still haven't figured it out. But diving in, the worst thing a doctor ever said to me was like, hey, TK, I'm not smart enough. My team of doctors isn't smart enough, and technology isn't fast enough to figure you out. So it's up to you. We're just going to keep tabs until we can figure it out. And that was like the worst thing a doctor's ever said to me. And I crashed, but it was actually the best thing a doctor could have ever said to me, because he was honest and it gave power back into me. So I got to start to research and learn. It started with Kiki, learning about neuroplasticity, how to reprogram our brain. And I was able to get off all my pain meds and all my muscle relaxants by doing this behavior 3D virtual reality. and where you enter and you can just see the world, and I could see what was happening in my brain and my mind, so I was able to finally start to calm down some of the systems. With my dysautonomia, I'm constantly in fight or flight mode, and for over 3 years, I was in fight mode. And my blood doesn't cycle, so I ended up having to wear compression from my toes to my waist so that my blood would cycle. And it was just me diving down every rabbit hole to figure out, what's next. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And some failed and some worked. And I learned a lot about neuroplasticity. I learned about our nervous system and the vagus nerve. And then I started doing impossible things. The doctor said it was impossible. I started building, like the new neural pathways. And Dr. Caroline Leaf, she's a neuroscientist with a book called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And it really saved my life because I couldn't read it at the time because of all the strokes and my brain wasn't comprehending as well. So I just started listening to her podcast and I picked it up. And so I started doing neuroplasticity work because it's like, think, feel, choose. What are you thinking? And then what are those thoughts making you feel? And how do they represent in your body? And then choose. We forget that in life we get to choose. So at the time, what was I thinking all the time is that my cervical dystonia was here, like 24/7, and the most painful, horrible thing, and it's relentless unless I sleep. And when that light went on, I was like, no, I don't accept that. And it was just like, boom, like my cervical dystonia improved like 30% and it never went back. And so I've been working every single day and learning more and more about neuroplasticity and how I can rewire my brain in doing that. And I developed different techniques and ball techniques that not only has, like, literally before a year ago, I would be like this. I would be talking to you like this while my head's pushing this way and I'm pushing this way so I could stay straight. But just by reprogramming my brain and building new neural pathways, I command my non-conscious at night to find a new route back to where neutral is. I'm still crooked and it still pulls, but it's a whole different world and a lot less suffering.
Can you explain neuroplasticity?
Neuroplasticity?
Yeah.
So neuroplasticity is the ability for our mind to reprogram our brain. So back up into the 80s, scientists said that our brain was the way it was and it couldn't change. But we've since learned that that's why they call it neuroplasticity. The plasticity part is like the plastic, that our brains are moldable, and science has proven. They even have like I don't know what technology you use, all the MRIs where they have it recording. So it takes 21 days to build a new neural pathway. So think of that as a new neural pathway as a program. So we're built on belief systems and programs that our body just automatically does and goes off of. But sometimes those programs are bad for us and they're negative and they do us harm. And so we can actually undo them. We just have to know how to do it. And by doing it is by building new neural pathways, like a new freeway in my brain, so that, my head was stuck here. And then when I was in an accident, I fell out of my head, imagine like my brain, there was a bridge and it collapsed.
Right.
And then my head stuck here. And now my head's like, how do I turn? I don't know. The freeway's gone. And so neuroplasticity is daily work, doing the work, saying, no, I would wrap scarves around my head and almost look like I was choking myself so that I could get a neutral stance. And then I would say, okay, record position. I come up with all these little tricks and, I lie at night when I go to bed, I command my non-conscious to say, hey, I'm going to sleep. Everything that we do in life is recorded in our brain.
Yeah.
How the floor feels underfoot at this moment, how the breeze is feeling from the fan on me, that's all being recorded. And our brain is like endless amount of storage. And so all the information, I thought, at one point I was healthy. It's somewhere in there. I don't know where it is, but my non-conscious knows where it is. And so I started doing the impossible. I'm just like, okay, you know what? I have nothing to lose because this is hell. So if I'm already in hell, I'm there. So I just started doing what she did. She commands her non-conscious to do things at night. So I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And my non-conscious has found is slowly building a new freeway around to get, there is no more pull, there is no more torque. These muscles can relax and I will find my neutral again one day. And even if I don't fully correct it, like I've already won. And I've already proven to doctors and scientists that like the impossible is not impossible.
Right.
If I can do that with this, then what else can we do with it? Because we do it with our toxic thoughts, thinking of like, oh, maybe a teacher told me I was an idiot when I was in school. So I grew up with this belief system of I'm an idiot, right? And we just keep thinking that until we become aware of what we're actually thinking. Then we can start to change our habits and the belief systems, and we can re-rip those roots up and start to build new, beautiful programs to be like, no, I'm highly intelligent. I'm good. I'm smart. But it does take 21 days every single day. It's just like a seed. You plant a seed, you have a thought, a new beautiful thought, and you plant it, and then you go back every day and you water it and you feed it. And in 21 days, a physical neural pathway has been grown in your brain. So a new roadmap has been made, and now you need to water it until day 63 to make it stronger. And then after day 63, because you like take 63 days, Dr. Caroline Leaf says, to build a new habit. And then you just got to keep building it and making it stronger. So it's like brushing your teeth. You don't forget to brush your teeth every day, right? So if you want to create a new life for yourself, get out of pain, we need to build new healthy pathways in our brains. And so being sick and all this, it's become my passion to, be a voice for the vulnerable, to help other sick people out there to learn that, you know what, even though we're sick, it doesn't matter the disease or whatever, like let's buy into that. Let's accept it, that it's cancer, that it's POTS, that it's cervical dystonia, and accept it and deal that and make it your friend, and then be like, okay, but I'm going to do something about it. Like, you're no longer going to rule my life, cancer.
Yeah.
And what was so ingrained into thinking like, oh, I've got cancer, I've got POTS, I'm got this, so now I have become that label. No, it's just the label. You get to choose whether you're going to accept it and whether you're going to fight it. So you have to fight it by building new neural pathways and be like, that's face cancer, you're my friend, but I'm not going to buy into my nausea, my sickness. And I built myself up, getting stronger, creating a goal of getting 10,000 steps a day when I was the sickest in my life, where I could barely walk 100 feet. And I watched the octopus teacher, and he goes freediving into the frigid waters of South Africa for 364 days and creates a relationship with an octopus. And at the end of the documentary, I was like, what can I do for 365 days to improve my health? And Mayo Clinic had me get a Fitbit watch, or a smart watch, and I was like, wow, I had 2 weeks where I had 10,000 steps. So I wonder if I could get 10,000 steps every single day. And there was like, no, knowing my disease and this body and everything, it wouldn't happen. But I thought, why not? I'm going to try. So I started building that neural pathway, and I did it for 60 days until I hurt my ankle. And then 6 weeks later, I started again, and it's been 3 years. May 10th, 2021 was my 3rd anniversary this year. How sick I was. I got COVID. Everyone thought that I would die when I had COVID. All the doctors thought that. And that's another thing, right? I was programming, I get COVID, I'm going to die. And then I'm like, look at what I'm doing. Our mind is so powerful that we can use our mind for good or bad.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and I'm like, no, if I get COVID, which I highly doubt, like, I am the survivor, I'm going to live. Yes, I was taken to the hospital twice, but I was never admitted. And the power of my brain saved me. The power of doing breathing, like Wim Hof breathing for 2 days, was 7 days of hell, but I still get 10,000 steps. When I was out of tears and numb enough in pain, I would walk as many steps as I could. And it was like, I'm not going to let the COVID, I'm not going to let the pain, I'm not going to let the migraine rule me when I know my body's strong enough to take those steps. So it's always about a choice in our health, whether we're going to buy into our sickness or not.
So true. It's that mind over matter. Really, our mindset is everything. It controls everything. I was curious when you were talking about at night when you reprogram. I listen to, because I have sensory issues from my long COVID with my light and sound, like my ears ring constantly. But I notice it more at night because I'm laying there still. And so I wear a mask and I listen to binaural beats and different ones that I have found. They always say in the beginning, listen to this for 21 days and you'll reprogram and blah, blah, blah. The only thing that's scary is you want a reputable site because you could be programming yourself with some things that are not good. I have a friend, for instance, she was doing some, and the lady, it was like music, but it had the subliminal messages behind it. But she would print in the YouTube or whatever in the notes like what the message was, so she knew what she was listening to, because it could be very scary. I mean, we could be programming crazy stuff. So my question for you was, had you considered, or did you record yourself doing what you're doing so you could listen to that over and over, or you're just doing it verbally?
No, I do it verbally in my head by myself all the time. Like they say, when I started learning about neuroplasticity, when I really got deep into the book, when I could start to read again, or it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
You only do neuroplasticity work like 15 to 30 minutes a day. But when I learned about it, it was like I'm in pain 24/7 and I'm always thinking, right? So in those first couple of weeks, I was pregnant again. I was like in bed at 7 o'clock, and why am I so tired? Until a year later, I learned that it takes a lot of brain power. It takes a lot of energy for our brains to do this. So we got to be kind and gentle. And no, I never had anything to follow. So I just started. I believe in God. And I prayed and I just listened to what he told me to do. And I just have paved my own road. And, when I tell people, I say, this probably sounds really silly and it sounds like I'm a crazy person, but hey, it's working. Even the top doctors in the world are like, what are you doing? Because, with it, I've gotten off of heart medicines and my autonomic doctor's like, hey, you should be on heart meds for the rest of your life. What are you doing? And I'm just like, well, so that's why I started up my own company, Outlier Healing. Taking the last 2 years, getting tons of certifications in coaching. I just finished a 10-month trauma certification. And in September, I'm about to get a certification for our autonomic system so that I can just be that much better to help other sick people, because just because we're sick doesn't mean that we have to give up on our dreams and our goals. And sometimes they change and they redirect us, and that's a good thing. And if I can cut off someone's suffering a year or 2 years and to get them up to speed to where I am and how I heal, I'm still sick. I'm functional now, and I don't buy into all the things I feel in a day, because I built such a belief system and a strength growth mindset that it takes a lot to derail me now.
I love that. Well, super important. So as we wrap up, I'm curious if what's the best way people could get a hold of you to find out more about what you teach and what you know?
Thank you on my website at Outlier Healing. Email me at info@outlier.com, outlierhealing.com. And there's a contact page there, and just send me a message and I'll reach out and we can do like meet and greet and see what their problem is and if we match. Because if I'm to help anybody who's sick, it starts with them, right? Because they have to do all the work themselves. I can give them all the information to do their homework, just like PT. PT begins the second we leave the PT off. Physical therapy office, and people come in and be like, why am I not better? And the doctor will be like, well, did you do all the exercises? No, I hate doing those.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you already programmed your head that you hate doing them, so you're not really cool. So
I love that. Yeah, it is about reprogramming any kind of autoimmune, or I can see this helping so many people that have all those kinds of issues, because really it is a mindset, and that's really what you're teaching people, is to kind of retrain the brain, right? Retrain the mind. So I love that. Well, we'll make sure we also add your information to the show notes so they can get a hold of you. But we really appreciate you sharing your knowledge, and I'm glad personally that you're getting better, because my motto is better is better. And
Yeah.
we all get our own challenges in life. And sometimes we think, how can they handle that? And then we say that to yours. How can you handle that? I mean, we all get it, right? We know
Yeah.
out of here alive, but let's survive while we're here. Let's make the best and let's keep the healing going. Don't give up. There's always ways that people can reach out and help. And TK's here, I'm here. Just those stories that you hear of people that are survivors. You can be one too if you're listening and you feel like that's you and not me. It can be you. Anything else you want to add as a final note?
You know, what neuroplasticity work, I think, is the key to getting over long COVID. It's all about the mindset and resetting and knowing how to do that. And I have this vestibulopathy and tendonitis, so I used to hear like 6 or 7 different rings, and it was almost like crazy to wake me up. And, I hear one now and it's so much dimmer. And, I look forward to the day where it's silent again.
Yes, me too. Sometimes it's like a siren. I never thought about having them different. Yeah, it's not always the same tone. That's interesting. I never thought about it being a different type of a ring. I just figured they were all related, and sometimes it was louder and sometimes it was quieter, but it is annoying. It's interesting. And it's nice to know if we can figure out like different things that trigger those things so we know how to plan. But our bodies are a miracle, but they're also can be very challenging kind of figure out, right?
They are, and those sounds are actually just signals for us to be like, there's something wrong on the inside. I'm giving you a buzz. That's what it is. It's like, there's something wrong, fix it. If you cut yourself, you can't tell yourself how to heal it, but the body does. So they're go into at night and say, hey, heal that buzzing. I don't know where it is, I want you to go and fix it. And you just keep saying that every night. And the other thing, you have to believe it, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever. Then nothing's ever going to work. It's all about positivity. It's about believing and doing.
Well, I got told by somebody that they were your angels wanting to talk to you. And I kind of like that. I'm like, then I better start listening, but who wants to listen to the racket, right? So we will just make ourselves believe whatever we want that belief to be. And that's what will happen. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, TK. I hope everybody got a few nuggets they can use and get a hold of her. Again, the information will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next time on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Our biggest dream and desire is to bring lasting impact to the lives of the millions experiencing long COVID effects and symptoms all across the world. Please join us. You can reach out to us at adventurebucketwish.org.